On today's episode of the High Achieving Female podcast, we are introducing Mellanie Askew, founder, president, and CEO of Coverflex Manufacturing, ranked number 31 on the list of 50 fastest growing women-owned lead companies by Women Presidents Organization and JPMorgan Chase. Mellanie left high school to work in the field, from pipe fitting to office filing to CEO. CEO of Coverflex Manufacturing. Mellanie exemplifies the rise of women-owned businesses. Let's dive into this episode.
Welcome to the High Achieving Female podcast, powered by Know, where we believe high-achieving female leaders deserve to be known. Here, you're going to get the tips, tools, and inspiration you need to network, grow, scale, and balance your business, career, and life. This is a special series of the High Achieving Female podcast powered by Know, where you'll get up close and personal with the winners of the 50 fastest women-owned and led companies in America, as presented by WPO and JPMorgan Chase. Okay, hello. I'm so excited for today. You are going to meet the phenomenal Mellanie Askew. She's the CEO of Coverflex Manufacturing, removable insulation systems. Welcome, Melanie. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, let's just jump right. What the heck is a removable insulation system, please? For those who are not in energy, Britt's over here with me today. We're doing this in person. She just raised her hand. Like, what the heck is a blanket? What is a removable insulation system?
So insulation systems we cover piping, valves, flanges, piping, turbines, anything that might need maintenance, noise reduction, personnel protection, stuff like that.
Okay. I dig it. So sustainability, energy, reducing cost, being more economical in manufacturing. These are plants and buildings.
So, and we're manufacturing, but what we're doing is taking manufacturing products, fabricating them all together to make another end product, right, for our customers.
I love this because I am such a proponent of business, and success doesn't have to be sexy. This is not a very sexy industry.
No, it's not.
But I want to know how you got into this. Like, what's your background? Girls in hard hats are like my jam, but like, how in the world did you land upon this?
Wow. So I quit school in 10th grade, had to go to work.
Whoa. Okay.
Construction, right?
Okay.
So construction was the easiest thing to do, and started out as a helper, then fitter, then became, that's how it all started. So I did that for quite a while. And then till, I got pregnant. And when I got pregnant, I couldn't work in the field anymore. I had to go in the office. Went to work for a heat tracing company, and that lasted for about 6 years, I guess, and not the woman's company, right?
Oh, right. Okay, so how in the world did you go and make the decision to go into construction? Because in 10th grade, when I think back of, when I was this is like 15 years old, right? 15, 16 years old, construction, were you even like legally of age to go into construction?
I wasn't, to be honest, I wasn't. But my family, my mom worked in the plants.
Okay.
My stepdad worked in the plants. So, it was just normal for us.
It was normal for you to go into construction. And how did you land in insulation systems and manufacturing? I feel like there's so much to unpack in here because you literally just dropped this bomb on us. But I want to know, how did you even get started with Coverflex Manufacturing? You've been in the industry quite a long time, right? Literally since the beginning of your career in construction. But how did you stumble into this insulation systems?
So when I was leaving Thermon, which is a heat tracing company, I was leaving that company, and because I couldn't move up. And a couple guys there had asked me, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "Well, I have no idea." I didn't know what I was going to do. And then, they said, "Well, why don't you go run this little pad company for us. It lasted about, I don't know, maybe 8 months, and they fought over the money. And I said, well, I mean, I'll buy your one sewing machine and your materials. And I gave them $5,000 and started Coverflex.
Wow. Did you ever, like in your earlier days, imagine yourself being an entrepreneur or being a business owner?
Well, I mean, me and my husband had companies before that. So we had vending, we had another little construction company. So we kind of, we were just already doing stuff. Yeah.
Right. It totally made sense. I want to know, let's just go into this a little bit. So I just opened up and I said, business doesn't have to be sexy. And that's the truth. I think some of the best businesses and some of the most highest revenue generating, lucrative businesses are in non-sexy fields. I think so many people think, and then business these days, especially with the power of social media and all of the things, people want to do things that they love, that, that are, flashy or glamorous or those types of things, especially with like the age of the influencer, right? Let's talk a little bit about that because you just listed off a couple of businesses that were not sexy vending.
I know, right?
I love that. But what was the decision to actually go into that? And what would you say to somebody who's maybe looking at, hey, I want to be a business owner. I have no idea where and how, what to even start.
I don't know how they come up. I honestly don't, and I will try just about anything, but it was about making money. I mean, what are we going to make money at? Right. And I had a friend that had some Coke machines. That's how it started. Right.
Okay.
And we did that. And then it became pool tables. Then it became dart machines. Then it became, you're filling the bars with this stuff. And then it became 8-liners. And then we had rooms of 8-liners. And then now we got a company that does, it takes all these machines out of casinos and then redoes them and sets up casinos in Mexico and other places, right? It's kind of crazy, how stuff happens.
I love that, actually. That's really, really, and I just want to
you're just like, I don't know how to explain it, but it just goes.
But you know what? It's exactly what you said. It started with like a Coke machine, right? And it's like someone who's like, hey, you could probably make some extra dough on this. And you're like, yeah, I'll try it. I'll try anything once, right? Mm-hmm. So you try it and then it builds and it builds and it builds and it builds and it builds. And I actually love that. So a big part of your mission is reducing the world's carbon footprint. You're focusing on sustainability, energy, you're focusing on environmental friendly, activities and really trying to create this better environment, if you will. And I know you're doing that through Coverflex, but talk a little bit about how you're implementing that inside of your life too. What does that look like?
Well, within Coverflex, it's easy, right? Because everything we do with that is energy savings. And we're even doing more within the company. In my life, I like to plant. I like to, I can grow just about anything. So different things like that. I mean, just taking stuff and composting and then putting it back. And, I don't know. We have geothermal, we're building a new house. And so we're using geothermal instead of, it's going to save a lot on electric, I believe. So
yeah, saving the world, saving the environment. And I think that's really a huge concern, especially with global warming. I mean, it's incredible how I think with what we're seeing in the environment these days. I literally was just having this conversation with my mom who said, it's never been this hot this soon. And I was like, well, I mean, they've been telling us about this since I was born, right? Since I can remember.
Have you been to Texas?
I've been to Texas.
You won't be able to breathe.
It's crazy, right? And so I love that you are doing just the little things that you can do to save the world and make it a better place. For anyone out here who's listening that maybe isn't in the business of insulation systems and cost saving or energy saving kind of career here, there are some things that you can do. Like you said, composting and farming and gardening and really just kind of doing what you can in your own world. And I love that you've made this part of not only just your career, but also your life. I love talking about women in male dominated industries.
It's fun.
Such a fun thing. So I actually too got started in construction at 17. I was a construction girl myself and oftentimes have been the only woman at the table. And I think that this is such an interesting conversation. I was talking with someone not too long ago, and she said it's not that we need to try to outrun or overrule the male dominated industries. It's not gonna be. We need to learn how to play better in these rooms. So I want to ask you, Melanie, who is, the woman with the hard hat, the woman who's like literally in it and living in this male dominated industry. What does it look like for somebody like you who is oftentimes probably one of the only women at the table?
It does happen a lot. And it happens at conferences. And I'm usually at male conferences, not women. This is totally different, So you just get used to it.
I was just about to say that. You get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
One of my very dear friends is a GC, a general contractor, and she's a female general contractor. And she would tell me that, and her husband, ironically, her husband works for her. And I love this. And so she would go into these jobs and she would be the estimator and come in and talk to them. And they would look to her husband and she would say, over here. Not him, it's me.
Yes.
He works for me. What do you do when you're in situations like that?
I don't really do anything. I just let it go. I think it's quite funny sometimes. And my husband will go to conferences with me sometimes. And they do. They're looking at him to talk to him. And he just lets them finish. And then he goes, it's her. And he has his own company too, but it's just funny how it's just automatic for guys to think it's a guy.
That's it. I know. And, I think that what you just said was really interesting. It's like you are dealing with it, right? As a woman in a male dominated industry. And we've come to sort of accept the fact that this is what it is. What would you say to any young girl out here who's maybe entering into the construction industry and she's having a little bit of challenges and she's like, hey, I'm not the one who's here to get your coffee. Like, I'm not getting your tea.
Lose your feelings.
Lose your feelings. Yes. Okay. I'm screaming up and down, jumping up and down for that because that's probably the realest advice I've heard in a really long time. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, because if you're all emotional and, oh my God, he did it. No, it's not going to happen.
It's not about that. It's about, and it's what you said, sometimes it's about looking at the bigger picture, looking at yourself, looking at your goals, taking your feelings and your thoughts outside of it. Like, we're here to make money, right?
It doesn't matter.
We're here to be successful. And what one person maybe how they're reacting to you is not really define you, right?
Right, sure. And I mean, I still have people that will talk to me and they just assume starting off that you know nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they'll either figure it out or they won't. I mean, to me, you get tired of proving yourself. So it doesn't matter.
Right. How do you just ignore it? How do you, what do you focus on? Do you just say, like,
the people you want to work with?
I like that. We all have choices for sure. And have you had times in your career when you've said, you know what, me and you,
yeah, for sure.
we're not meant to be. So you take it over there. I'm going to go over here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. What are you doing? So you're a mom?
Yes.
How old? What's
my oldest daughter will turn 30 in a couple months.
Okay.
And youngest daughter just turned 14.
Wow. Okay. So you've got them spread out.
Yes.
And are you, what are you doing in terms of like family, or is your daughter, your 30-year-old, in the business?
Oh, no, she does hair.
She does hair.
Yeah.
I love that. I assume too, because you said that you were in construction and the family was in construction, that no,
she wanted nothing to do with my business. And I doubt the youngest one will either.
I love that. And you know what? It's a lot of times helping them see their own ways and letting them fly, right?
Sure.
And really just taking them to letting them do what they want to do. Are you in a, what's your impact look like? What's your give back look like?
Wow. So we have employees, and a lot of our employees, they're not making tons of money. We're not like in a big high-rise office or anything. We're in a manufacturing type facility. So giving back to them, creating just opportunities for them to go to school, to paying for their school. Anything that they want to take, we'll pay for that has to do with the business, right? And then there's a lot of other things that we do. We use like this, there's this local drug and alcohol program, right?
Okay.
And we will use these people and they work, and we have had a lot of them that stay with us. You know, they have to go through this 2-year program with this place, right? And once they graduate, they can actually go to work for us for real.
I love that.
You know?
So you're part of that kind of rehabilitation.
Yeah.
Company culture is important for you all. How many employees do you have?
Right now, it's less than 100.
Okay.
Last year, it was over 200. So
okay.
It just depends what's going on.
Got it. And so, let's talk a little bit about that scaling back to scale up. I mean, you know, making decisions to hire and then reduce and then hire. You just kind of go through like the ups and downs of the flows of business.
Sure. Yeah. We learned a while back that, you know, you can't always keep everybody through it all. I mean, we lost quite a bit of money one time doing that. And to hurt us, we won't be able to help anybody then.
That's it.
Yeah.
I think that's something really important too for women to keep in mind as they're growing and building their businesses. I'm such a proponent of that. You know, a lot of times the people that you start with aren't the people that are going to stay with you. I also too believe that, you know, at the end of the day, if you're not, you know, they have the whole thing where they say you put your oxygen mask on first. You have to take care of you so that you can take care of everybody else. And I love that you just said that, because women who sometimes are in these, leadership roles, or they're in business ownership, they think that they have to take care of everyone and they have to, you know, do everything for everyone before they do for themselves. But really, that's the fastest way to, I think, business bankruptcy, right?
Sure.
And being agile and making smart decisions and how you have done that. You are one of the 50 fastest growing woman-owned and led businesses. Congratulations on winning. That is a huge, huge distinguished honor, I think. So congratulations to you.
Yeah.
What would you say to some of the women out here who are maybe hoping to get to their very first million or their very first 100,000? What are some of those steps that you took, even if you go back to the Coke vending machine business,
right.
You know what I mean? What are some of those insights that you would share to anyone looking to kind of get to the next level?
Take chances. Don't be afraid to fail.
I love that. Take chances and don't be afraid to fail. Was there some advice that you took one time and you were like, shoot, worst decision I ever made?
Probably a lot of times. I failed tons of times, you know, bar and restaurant.
Oh, really?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
You were like, that's not for me.
Not for me.
And,
you know,
and I can tell because, you know, clearly you've bounced back, and you've probably bounced back, you know, and sometimes it may have been challenging, but what's one piece of advice that you did take and you were like, that was good, I would do that every time? Anyone ever said anything to you, whether it's, you know, today or yesterday, or, you know, when you were in 10th grade and you were just looking to get started in the job world?
never stop learning.
Never stop learning. I love that. Melanie, thank you so much for being with us today. Congratulations again on this huge honor, number 31 on the list. It's incredible. I cannot wait to just share more of you within our community. I love your insights and the things that you're doing. And remember, business doesn't have to be sexy in order for it to be profitable and in order for you to really sustain and get to the next level.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the High Achieving Female Podcast, powered by No, where we believe it's time for high achieving women like you to be seen, heard, and recognized. Until next time, remember, you deserve to be known.